So, Eleni, if you want to tell us your name, where you're from, and what languages you speak.
Well, hello. My name is Eleni Karathansi. I was born and raised in the Greek island of Samos, and I've studied 7 languages. I use 2 of them in my everyday life, with a few exceptions. Greek is my mother tongue. I studied English, then French and Italian, a little bit of Spanish. I studied Arabic, Iraqi dialect at uni, but because I don't practice, I can't speak anymore. I can barely understand. And Japanese.
Tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do for work? What do you do for fun?
Well, so first of all, I want to say that I'm a 4th generation artist. My great-grandfather, grandfather, father, and me were all artists, sculptors, craftsmen. So I paint and I work in the art industry. I'm involved in exhibitions, shows. I teach other people how to paint. And in my spare time, I love painting, dancing. I really like cooking, attending medieval festivals, and I like to dress up as a wizard. I even make my own stuff and things like that. And I like martial arts as well. I used to practice Japanese martial art called Kendo. I stopped a few years ago. And yeah, these are the things I like. And mythology. I'm a mythology lover.
So you find that mythology influences your art practice?
Yeah, 100%. Because I love stories, and mythology is a little window to different cultures. So Greek was the basis. I started with Greek mythology, and then I expanded to different cultures, Maya, Aztec, Japanese, Chinese. There are so many cool things to learn. And then this translates to my art practice because I like to paint stories. At uni, I had my thesis done based on mythology. So my thesis was, the theme was comparing Japanese and ancient Greek stories of dragon slayers, and I did my own art. So definitely what I'm interested in translates to what I like to paint, but not just that.
Wow, awesome. Can you tell us a bit about your migration experience?
Yeah, well, I've been here 11 years. I arrived in May 2014 here with my sister. And I remember our relatives picking us up from the airport. And I was in the car and everything looked new to me. Back in Greece, the houses look different, the animals sound different, the plants, everything was colorful, spiky. It was so different. So I was like a sponge, observing everything. And after a few months, we started getting used to life here. But every year that I've been in touch with Australia, I learn new things. So it has been a very interesting journey.
Beautiful. In what way was it interesting?
Well, first of all, when you migrate in a different country, you have to reinvent yourself in a way. And you also learn what you can do away from your culture, your environment. You interact with people from different countries that they speak different languages. They have other experiences. So it's a test, if you want to call it that way, or an adventure that you kind of discover how you react in certain situations and what are you capable of in a good way and a bad way. Yeah, I think that was the most interesting thing I discovered.
Amazing. And if you don't mind sharing, why did you come?
Why? Why did I come?
Yeah.
Well, the financial crisis in Greece has a lot to do with it. At the time I graduated uni, I studied diplomacy and languages. And at the time, I didn't have a lot of commitments there. And when I graduated, it was very difficult. My first job was paying 300 euros a month, which was very challenging. So since I was feeling that I'm not going to have a good future there, even though I loved my country, I thought maybe I could give it a go. And my mom was born here in Port Kembla. And she came back my grandparents were migrants, so they came back and forth. They decided to stay in Greece, but when the crisis happened, we decided to come back and maybe try to see what kind of life we can build for ourselves. And my mom arrived first, and a year after, me and my sister. And that's where I went to uni again, and I saw it as a second chance in life. I studied art history and Asian studies. So Australia was like a second chance, or like a different portal in time that I can try again. Yeah.
Beautiful. Why this area? What are some of your favorite things about living in this area?
So initially, we chose this area because my mom already had an apartment and a job here. But we decided to stay once we realized that this was our jam. I love Kogra. I'm a Kogra girl. I've been there 11 years, and we've changed apartments many times, but we're always in Kogra. It's a lovely suburb to live in. It's safe. There are Greeks around, which kind of makes me feel at home. It's safe. It's a medical hub, which it's a torture if you're trying to find parking. But if you want to eat, there are so many restaurants, and they're very close to where I live. So it was very convenient, safe, and it became our second home. So, and it's also close to the city. So it was both convenient and beautiful to live there.
Do you have any comments on the Australian accent?
An Australian accent? Well, when I first came here, I was used to, due to movies and cinema and everything, American or maybe English accent. When I first came to Australia, I struggled a little bit. But now, if I watch TV or a YouTube video and I hear an Aussie, I'm like, yep, this is what I'm familiar with now. And this is, like, I feel very, very close to that. And I have to admit, a lot of my relatives back home, they still don't understand. If we bring Aussie friends into the video call or something and they speak, after they're like, can you tell me what did they say? Like, what was it all about? Because I couldn't pick it up. So right now it feels very close to me, the Aussie accent. When I first arrived, it was something very new to me.
Beautiful. How have you built connections to the community?
So I try my best to shop locally, and when I go to the shops and I get my things, I interact with the owners of local businesses, and I've made a lot of friends. Because I've been in Kogra 11 years, some things have changed. So some businesses have closed down and you have new ones, but there are some that are still there. And for example, there is a grocery shop, or there used to be, called Eve's Apple, and it was a staple in the area. It was owned by a Lebanese lady. She was wonderful, and she had that shop for like, I don't know, 10, 20 years. And every time I would go there, we would chat, and sometimes she would tell me things about her family, and I would tell her about my family. Once I remember she was sad, so I went and I got her flowers. And next time she gave me cherries. So, you know, like when you visit local businesses, it's good when you talk to people, because you learn things not just about the area, but about the people that you live with. And the same goes with other businesses. One of my friends, she owns a jewelry shop. She's from China, and when she migrated here, she had a tough time, but now she opened a second shop in Miranda, which is amazing. So that's how I try to interact with local merchants. I'm in some social media groups on Facebook about my area, and I also try to attend events. Like Uncontained, for example, I'm really happy it happens in Kogra. And yeah, I was so happy. I was thinking I'm gonna volunteer. But since I work at Hurstville Museum and Gallery, I was able to work. And yeah, I think that's a good way. If you attend festivals and you talk to local businesses, that's a good way to go.
Amazing, amazing. You mentioned sort of, you briefly touched on it, but how do you I'm just asking to cover it, but how do you maintain connections to your culture or family back home?
Well, first of all, I FaceTime my family and friends when it's convenient because of the time difference. That's a bit of a struggle. I listen to music. I watch series in Greek. We speak Greek at home. And also I keep a diary and a sketchbook. And I try to write in my mother tongue because also writing is important. And different languages, and that's how I stay in touch. Because when you migrate in a different country, you're a bit of a time capsule of the time you left. So the internet helps staying updated, and talking with your family also helps being in touch with what happens home.
What is your experience with language and moving here? How's that been for you?
So it has been both interesting and challenging. When I first arrived, I would be excited to meet Greek people, and I would speak Greek to them, and with no consideration of their level and their experience with the language. It's a very common thing to consider language as a marker of identity. How Greek are you? How Chinese are you? How Italian are you? It also depends. People judge you about your language skills. So when I first arrived, I was super happy and I was talking to everybody, but I didn't stop to think, okay, maybe they don't have the same experience as me. So after 11 years, what I do is when I meet Greek people, I start with English, and this helps me because they don't shut down. Because if someone comes and talks to me, let's say in a language I haven't practiced, it sounds that they're talking very fast, and I feel so scared. So I thought, I cannot connect with that person if they feel scared. So what I do is I start with English, and then a lot of people, they say, can I practice Greek? Or they switch to Greek, or we can speak half Greek, half English. But I realized that this is the most considerate and gentle way to connect with someone without making them put a wall. Because maybe some people want to practice their language skills with you, and maybe other people feel stressed. But if you go straight to them and speak a language that you don't know their background, you're not going to be able to have a decent conversation with them. So, but when I arrived from Greece, I didn't know that. So the time I've spent here has helped me understand this. So that's what I do. And people respond very well to that.
How do you feel about the changes you've seen in the area?
In the area, in Kogra, where I live?
Yeah.
If it's a staple place, I feel sad, like Eve's Apple, or there was a textile place that has been there for many years and it recently shut down, I definitely feel sad. But there are always new businesses that come up, and most of the time they're family businesses, so it's always good when you go and eat there because you see somebody's kid doing their homework, and it's very nice. So it became busier. Kogra became busier because they've been building the hospital. It's a medical hub, so there are practices everywhere. So it gets busier and busier as it goes. And this can be challenging, but I really like that vibe. So I'm happy because even though old things close down, there are new things popping up and new things to discover.
How about culturally? Have you noticed any cultural changes in the area?
Well, Kogra has always been very... There are many ethnicities there. With some suburbs, definitely you can see that within a decade they change, and a suburb can be, let's say, Italian for 10 years and then switch to Indian or Arabic, or a suburb can be Greek for 10 years and then switch to Brazilian, just an example. But Kogra has been a mix, so there are Greek, Macedonian, Russian people there, Indian people, Chinese. So it has been, my experience has always been that there is a mix of, you walk down the street and you can find a bubble tea shop, you can find a Arabic charcoal chicken shop, you can find a florist that they're from Nepal, or you can find someone selling jewelry from China, or so I think the area, it's not so obvious the changes. At least that's what I think, that it's still an amalgamation of cultures, but according to the time, maybe there used to be more Greeks and now there are more Russian, for example, or it used to be a certain way, but Kogra has always been a mix of people, so at least in my eyes. So,
You mentioned earlier that there was a saying that you had. Would you like to share that and explain it a bit?
yeah, there are many sayings in Greek, but I just happened to be talking with someone and I mentioned that one, and it made an impression on them. So we have a saying in Greek when you're trying to squeeze too much out of a situation when you shouldn't. And we say, προσπαθώ να βγάλω από τη μυγαξίγη, which means trying to get fat out of a fly. But ksigi is a word, not just fat, it's this nice fat that you get when you have grilled meat, something delicious, and you're trying to get it out of a fly, it's not happening. Which means you're trying to get out of a situation something that it's not reasonable, or it's not gonna happen.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And finally, what message would you like to share with visitors or to the community and future generations?
Well, I think it doesn't matter where you come from, regardless of the country you come from. The message is, I think there is always something interesting to discover when you talk with another person from a different country. And it's important to remember that each of us is in a little cocoon or a little bubble. And this bubble is our country, where we were born, how we were raised, and our personality as well. And I think the best practice is to keep the best of your culture and your practice, but let go of things that hold you back from connecting with someone else from a different culture. Because you communicate the best parts or the worst parts of your culture to someone when you talk to someone that they come from a different country. And it's good to remember that it's good to break out of the cocoon, and that way you become better as a person, because you go beyond your culture, beyond what you were taught, and you can always connect with someone and discover something interesting. So that's my message. And thank you for listening. Ευχαριστώ πολύ που με ακούσατε. Grazie mille per ascoltarmi. Lo apprezzo molto. Ciao a tutti. Minasan, kite kurete arigato. Thank you. Okay, so I would like to share this item is the first item I received as a gift when I arrived in Sydney. That's from my mom. And this is a very nice bracelet. And yeah, she works at the hospital, so I think that was Awareness Month, and she gave it to me, and I kept it. The little chain broke, but I still kept it as a memento. So yeah. Yeah, so my mom works at St. George Private Hospital. That's where she bought that from. It was Awareness Month, and yeah, she gave that to me along with a card, welcome to Australia. So yeah, I kept it after all this time, and yeah, I kept it as a memento. Right, so this is one of my diaries. I bought it from my island, Samos, and it has the traveler explorer kind of vibe. And it was the first diary I started writing when I arrived in Sydney. I was very excited, and I didn't know much about Australia. And I just wanted to share, in here there's a photo of my hometown. This is what I could see from my window in my island. The mountains are beautiful. And here is my high school and my junior high here. So yeah, that's... So yeah, I could see my high school from my window. So whenever I was sick, I could hear the bell, and I could even hear our principal, scolding people like, go to class, or it's time for you to go to class. And I was really happy I took a break for a day. Yeah, but that's it. And I also wanted to share another page. Which it says Kalo Pascha, which means good Easter or happy Easter. And that's a gift from my students. My first job in Australia was a community language teacher. I was teaching Greek. And yeah, that's a little gift from the kids when I left. Because we're doing language, but also crafts. And yeah, very cute. So this is a painting I made recently, a week ago actually, in our lovely local park in Kogra. The wisterias are in bloom, and I sat down for a long time. I had a little picnic and I painted it, and I wanted to share with everyone. Yeah, it took a long time, and I even had some people come to me and talk to me and say, we really like it, or someone was asking stuff about my practice. They were an artist as well, which was pretty cool. And yeah, this is spring in Kogra, which is amazing.
Can we confirm it's wisterias or jacarandas?
Oh, sorry, yeah. The jacarandas are in full bloom. And this time of year, the park is beautiful. So I totally recommend for you guys to visit and get it while it's still nice and purple and blooming and beautiful.